You've had a lot of change in the last year, the last 6 months even.
I have.
Talk to me about that.
Yes, a lot.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. There's more change.
More change. Yeah. Well, good afternoon. It is Friday, and it's a happy day for all bankers, especially Chickasaw Community Bank. Not just because it's Friday, but also because we are today visiting with Chickasaw Community Bank's longest serving employee, Miss Cynthia Delgado Matlock. Cynthia is the CFO here at Chickasaw Community Bank. I got to tell you, Cynthia, I haven't been here for 5 years now myself. One of my best memories is really the first time I got a chance to sit down and meet you. I mean, you as someone who's been here, who knows the ins and outs of not just this bank, but banking in general. You've been a really good friend to me, and I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot about how to keep your calm, stay cool under pressure, but also I've learned a lot of just about how important it is to be open and transparent with people. But enough about that. I want you to talk a little bit about the bank, how it's changed over time, why you've stayed here as long as you have, and then get a little bit into about who you are as a person personally.
Wow, that's a lot. The bank, I started in 2005. I think we were, I can't remember how many employees, not many. We were around 76 million in total assets. Very, very small bank. We had our mortgage operations. We would do a couple loans, sell them off, not anything major. We were a very vanilla community bank.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot. And over the years, it's just kind of changed. And, 2008, we started our really big in the mortgage operations, and that kind of took off. I remember when we started that, sitting in the boardroom, and me and the former bank president, getting out white pieces of paper and deciding, okay, how's this going to work? And drawing T accounts and trying to flow out, okay, this needs to go here, and we know we have this, and, just that. And I think that, is part of why I'm still here, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but that ownership, that sense of I helped build this, This is like my baby. I set up the accounting for a lot of this stuff, and so I think there's that sense of I own this. Like this is part my bank and part my. We've seen a lot of changes. I think I've worked on pretty much every floor in this building, with the exception of the 7th floor, and it's I don't know.
You mentioned that ownership, and I think that's so important for any team in place. And the thing I appreciate about you, I think about our leadership team all the time, and you are a big part of this, the reason we've had the success we're having now. But I always think about your role. As a CEO, I'm always thinking about whose role is what. Not just titles. Titles are fine, and there's something to be said for titles. But in addition to titles, people have roles. And when I think about our leadership team, Cynthia is always the cautious person saying, well, wait a minute. Let's make sure, have we thought about this? My only consideration is this, and you've hired a team of cautious people who work with you, who have that same mindset. And I got to tell you, even though I'm sometimes pushing back against that, how grateful I am that we have that type of synergy and that type of relationship. Now, have you always been a cautious person, or did you learn to be?
I'm actually better now than I was. I was even more cautious. I think working with our management team, and I was always very black and white and in the box, and it's okay. No, this is what you do, and so I think I really appreciate our leadership team, and there's so much diversity in it that someone can come in with an idea and say, I think we need to do this, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Well, let me think about it a little bit, and you figure out a way, and you figure out how to make it work and how to make it fit the mold. But I feel like it's helped me develop as a person, and seeing that, okay, let's figure out how to problem solve this. Let's figure out how to make it work, or maybe that doesn't work, but what if we do this instead, and it kind of gets the same mission of what we were planning.
That makes total sense. And of course, it takes all kinds, right? And you need people who are saying, let's go, let's do this. And you also need people saying, wait a minute, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Let's think it through. And I'm so glad that we have that type of a diverse team, because I think that's how you you get a really good product. You also have had change, right? Change is you're not exactly the change agent of the bank, right? Which is, I think, a good thing as a CFO. You don't want a CFO who's wanting to change directions all the time. But talk to me about change in your personal life, right? You've had a lot of change in the last. You've had a lot of change in the last year, the last 6 months, even.
I have.
Talk to me about that.
Yes, a lot.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. There's more change.
More change. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh.
Right in the face.
You're gonna take out time.
All right, ready?
How do you do it? Just twist it. Birthday to you.
Oh, mine's broken.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Cynthia. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And more. Yay, Cynthia.
That was a very, very nice surprise. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's definitely a surprise. I was just about to talk about myself.
Well, Cynthia, we just want to take a couple minutes just to celebrate you. You mean so much to this team, to the legacy of this bank, to the future of this bank. And this is just a small token to say thank you and to say how much we appreciate you for all that you do, but more importantly, for who you are. I know your team has celebrated you some already as well, but we wanted to, as a bank, just to say thank you, because it's important to do that. So happy birthday and forever 21. That's right. Surprise!
Very, very unexpected. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Unexpected but well deserved. So,
Yes.
so we got to keep you guessing. But it kind of transitioned nicely with what we were talking about, which is change. And you've had a lot of change in your personal life that I hope you feel okay with me asking on camera. I know you shared it before, but talk about what's been going on with Cynthia in the last year personally.
Personally, I got married. I managed to successfully pull off a wedding in the middle of COVID, and it was perfect, and just immediate family. We were made sure, I'm totally type A and over.
No.
I know. It's
Who knew?
awful. And so it was a very big, we want to make sure everybody's safe, and it's, and so we rented a huge Airbnb that slept 30, I think, and had a wedding in a nice little chapel in the hills of South Austin, and outdoor chapel, and just had our immediate family there, and it was pretty nice. And end of the year, my husband decided, hey, let's get a house, let's build a house. So put our house on the market. It sold within 8 hours, I think. So at that point, I'm thinking, oh no, what do I do? And,
But what you should have been thinking is, oh gosh, we
kill
listed it for too little. If it sold that quickly, yeah.
Yeah. So they were cash buyers, so obviously they wanted us out as soon as
Sure.
possible. So now we're getting ready to build a house. I'm very excited, and
That's awesome. And what bank did you use to build your house?
I did have a little bit of a spreadsheet going to decide, but obviously CCB won out.
That's awesome.
I've done things in the past, as a customer with the bank, and it's just definitely it's work. I mean, it's not just speaking from someone who works here. It was a good experience. I do feel like the CCB team is very family oriented, and with COVID, you don't really get that as much because we were all a little bit segregated. But the times we do get together, it's very personal. It's you care about the other people and how's it going, and you know that an employee has a pet goat in their house, or that
Wait a minute, who has a goat? Someone has a goat?
Yeah.
Who?
Yes.
Oh God.
Because Trey keeps trying to bribe her to put it in Zoom.
Well, whispering won't help you. It's still going to be on the camera. So.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so
It'd be a mascot.
yeah, thank you.
The greatest bank of all time. The goat.
You need to ask her to put it on the Zoom.
I like it. Well, so you are obviously intrinsically involved in what's happening at the bank right now. You are, a pillar of the bank's history and progress. But now talk about the bank's future. I mean, we've got a lot of things happening right now. You know, you and your department, even though, frankly, I think we probably throw as much or more at your department than anybody, and maybe thank you the least because there's so much. But talk to me a little bit about the future of the bank and the parts about it that excite you, the parts about it that make you scratch your head and wonder. But talk to me about what you think is probably the most exciting thing happening for the future of the bank.
I think the growth. I think, just everything that we have in the works. The new building is gorgeous. Like every time I look at a photo of it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm going to work there. It's really nice. And, you talk to people and they're like, oh, I saw that. That's a really cool building. But I think just seeing what we started as and what we've turned into, like that you didn't realize there was so much potential and possibility. And then now as all of this is starting to come to fruition, it's really exciting, I think I joke some part of the reason I feel like I've been here so long is because they keep me so busy. Like we have one thing after another, and it never gets boring. It never gets old. There's always a challenge. I've always I love puzzles. I love putting things together and, figuring it out. And I feel like that's what the bank has been. Let's figure it out. Let's put all these things together. And but yeah, I'm excited about the growth. I'm excited about having different locations. I'm excited about all the teams that we have across the United States and being able to really branch out and have a presence across the United States. And there's a lot.
Never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Never a dull moment.
Well, in closing, you said two things that make me excited. I'm obviously excited about the new building. And you and I have talked about, we're both Southsiders, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to increase our drive a little bit, but I think it's going to be well worth it based on renderings that I've seen. But you mentioned, early on, you said this bank is my baby, and I've heard you say it all the time, and I believe that. And I feel like your baby's growing up, and it's time. I heard a terrific sermon a few years back, and the title of it was "Launch Out into the Deep." And I feel like this bank is launching out now. We've been around kind of the shallow waters, and we've mastered it, and we've perfected our skill and our craft. And I feel like we're just now kind of launching out into that deep. But the most important part about that sermon I heard was when you're launching out into that deep, you're not doing it alone. It's one thing to go out in the deep by yourself. It's another thing when you have a team, especially a team who you trust and who you admire and who you frankly enjoy getting to do this with. And I thank you for being that type of team member, not just for me, but for everybody. And when I think about the team, you also think about, at least I do, you mentioned puzzles. And I was thinking about, my wife loves to do puzzles too. I don't get it. We were on vacation with her family. She bought a puzzle and they were all done. I was just like, I don't get it. I'm too big picture for puzzles. But what I do know this is on puzzles, but to get started, everybody has a strategy. I was watching them kind of put it together, and her aunt, she would say, well, we got to do the corners. You do the corners. What do you think is the most important piece of the puzzle?
I do the outside, the border.
Okay.
You got to get the outside border,
Yeah.
and then I can start filling in.
Then you start.
I need the bigger picture, and then I kind of work down and drill down to the details.
That's perfect. And where I think the most important piece of a puzzle is, it's the picture on the box, because you've got to know what it's supposed to look like. And really, my goal is that CCB is really the picture on the box for this community, that people know this is what it's supposed to look like when you have a group of people who are committed to the community, who are building better lives for everyone. But you also have to have individuals who are picture on the box for the rest of the team. And so I just want to say thank you, Cynthia, for being that picture on the box for the rest of this team as we put this puzzle together and really launch out into the deep. So,
Well, thank you.
thanks so much. And by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.